Yeah, in this video, I'll be talking about CSS3 animation. Okay, so to do that animation in CSS3, let's first of all create our HTML. Then inside our body, we'll make use of a div. Okay, say div, div. Okay, inside this div, let me just leave it. I will not add anything. I will just use only this div. Okay, so what I will now do, I will now come to this our title under our title and link our external CSS. So if you don't know how to do that, you can watch my CSS insert and you will understand that better. So having linked our CSS external file, okay, let's refresh this. Having linked our external CSS file, let's go to our CSS external file. So we'll now call this our, what's it called, the div. But before we do that, since we're doing animation, the animation works in this way. There is a kind of that is where the animation code is written. You use something that is called at keyframe. At keyframe, you can see it at keyframe. Yeah, at keyframes. Okay, then when you write the keyframe, just like writing a function in JavaScript, but that's not what you're talking about. So just write the name of your animation or what you want to give your name, your keyframe. Let me just say let me just call it an, let me just say div, let me just say div animation. Let me just use underscore div, or let me just remove underscore and just say something like animation. You can call it anything you want. Animation, animation, animation. That is, I think that's the correct spelling. Then when you, after you have written this, then you now open a declaration block. So inside this your declaration block, it will contain all the it will contain inside this block is where your function, because just this thing is just like a function. Okay, you will now write your statement, something like statement. I'm using JavaScript terms now, but that's not what you're talking. So this is CSS. Okay, so let me just create something like, before I add the functionalities, let me first of all add call my div element and give it some properties. So I will say div, then open a declaration block. Inside that, I'll give it a width. I'll give it a width of 100 width, 100 pixel. Then I will give it a height of let me give it a height of 50, which is 100 by 50, and see what it looks like. 100 by 50 pixels. Okay. Then by doing this, then let me give it a background color so you can see it in the screen. Let me give it a background color of say background color of let me give it a blue. Let me see how that looks like. You can see the our div. I think this one makes sense, but I want it to be like a full square. So what I will now do, I will, since this, I want it to be very visible, so I will make the height, I'll make the height 100 as well. Let me make it 100 pixels, 100 by 100. So the two sides are equal, just like a square. Then let me add the border so it will be more visible. Let me say border, border. Let me give it, let me say one. Let me say 0.6. Let me say 0.6 em. 0.6 em. Then solid. Let me see solid. Solid not give me. I'll use another value. Solid. I think this one makes sense. How about how will insert? Sorry about this. How will insert look like? Let me use say insert. I want something that will look more. No, this one is not even visible. Let me leave it at solid, which is solid is black by default. Or else I want to give it another color. But I think I will do that. So I will solid. Then let me give it a color of. Let me give this black border. Let me change this black border to another color. Let me say brown. Let me say brown. I think the color will be better. I think this one is more visible. Okay, having done this now, I've given my div. I've created my div, so you can see our div box like a square. So let's go back to our keyframe. Inside this our keyframe now, what do I want to happen inside the animation? Let me first of all say let it change from, let me change this background color. Let me change its background color. Okay, so you use the keyword, or should I use, just say it's a keyword, or kind of a reserved keyword. Use something within this keyframe declaration block. Say from open your declaration block from let me say this from mean where it start, from the starting point before the animation starts. Okay, if you want the thing to affect the color, you can say from this before it starts, change your color, and then before the end, change to another color, and then have two to the end, which means this is the final color before you go back to your default. Okay, let me say from this point, let me change the let me just change the from this point. Let me just say the animation start. Let it in as in let it reduce its width by, let me say, 50-50. Let it reduce it to, let me make that thing it will look more interactive. Let me say the 50 pixel, uh the width. Then I'll give it a height of 50 pixel. Then the next thing I will do, I will give it background color. Let it also change its background color. Let me change the background color to let me use something that will be more visible. Let me say green. I think green will make sense. Green, okay. Then I also want to affect the border. So the border, it will not only change it, so it will also change the border. Let me say border. Say border. Let me give it let me say since I use 0.6, I also use 0.6. I just have to change the color. 0. Or even actually I could even do this border color instead of, so it will still inherit let me see border color. Yeah, let me just change the color dial instead of still applying the same property. So let me give the border color something like, since it's green, let me give it yellow. Let me say yellow. Let me say yellow background. Okay. So I've written this first one, this first statement. Okay. Then the next thing I will write is two. This is the final place, the function, the kind of, this is the starting point. Then before the end, this particular thing, I don't like calling this thing function. This is just kind of CSS pattern. Okay, so inside these two is the final thing that will happen to this box in the animation process. So let me give it a, let me just give the same, let me copy this and change some values inside. Control C. Then inside this place I'll Control V, paste it. Then I will change this to, let me change this to let me say times 2. Let me just do it 200 pixels, so there'll be a noticeable changes. Say 200 pixels. Okay, then let me change the background color to, since we have this thing by default, let me refresh. Oh, I have, let me clean this thing. Since we have blue by default and we already selected green and yellow, let me use something like which color now will be different now. And I have not used red. Let me say red. Let me say red. Then what we are using the border color now that will correspond with red. Think. Let me say let me use golden. No, if I use gold, yellow is already here. Let me say purple, or even pink and red. Can the two of them work? No. Think. What if I do gray? Let me use gray color. No problem. It's still okay. So having done this now, okay. Now what we have to do, we have declared our animation. This is what we want to happen in animation. So we'll add the, for this thing to have effect, we'll come back to our div block. We add this property. The property name will be animation name. Animation name, yeah, animation name. This thing, I don't like this random this thing. I don't want this thing to be supposed to be hyphen name, animation name. Then inside the animation name, you now give the name of this, our this name now that we gave to, kind of, I may just call it a kind of a function. Let's just say something like that, but it's not function precise. This name kind of looks like a function. Let's just give it, we'll give it this name, our animation name, which is this name. You can give this name anything you want. Okay, in fact, let me change it. Let me give it so it will not look like as though it's the same. Let me use MHE here. MHE. Let me say MHE here, so it will look because function, you can give function any name you want. Okay, inside this place, I'll now input that name, MHE. Okay, I think the name, let me clear this white space. Okay, having done that, okay, then I will also add some property. I will also add relative here, so it will really give me what I want. Relative. So you go and watch my video on relative. You understand what relative does. Okay, we'll not go further in explaining all those things. Let me just say relative. To that relative self, how would it affect this my code now? think position is the property, relative is the value. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's perfect. So watch my video on positioning, CSS positioning. So let me say position. Inside the position, I will give it a relative. Okay, I think I'm done now. Then I will also give animation duration. Let me give animation duration, the time the animation will run. Let me say, if you not add anything, I think it will be in default of 0, it will not run. Let me give it in seconds. Let me say something like 3 seconds. Let's see. You can see the effect now. Okay, you can see the effects. You can see the effects. Let's refresh again and you see the effect. You can see the effect. This is the animation. It starts from, just observe the effect. Observe the effect. The default is blue and brown. Okay, once we refresh the page, it starts by changing it green. It changed it before it starts, it changed everything to green background and yellow border. Before it ends, it switched to red and the brown and the gray border. Just observe it, you see what I'm saying. You can see it just happened very fast, very fast. It's just happened very fast. Everything happened very fast. You can see the final one. Can see lead and the gray. Then before it starts, is the inside one green and yellow. Okay, this thing just happened very fast. Then what if I increase the seconds to, let me say, 5 seconds and see the effect? Yes, you can see that. Let me also reduce the, let me increase it to 7 seconds so it will happen more slowly. You can see green, yellow, then red and gray. You can see the effect. So that is how to do animation in, this is the one of the way to do animation. Okay, but what if I want this thing to making a movement instead of just staying at a place? Let me just make it so it will look more like, because the way it's doing just looks like it's a transition stuff. Let me just, because I've been doing transition since, let me just make it so it will look different and look like a little animation. So let me add some properties so when it's, before it's going to just be making movement, it will just maybe move up and down or something like that. And let me add it here inside this our from. Let me add 0 pixels. It's not 0 pixel. Let me just use top. I think top might do this work. Top. Let me give it a 0 pixels. Then let me come to this place. Let me give here. Let me say. Should I do it this way now? Let me also do top. Let me say top. Let me say top. Let me give it. I give just 0. Let me use here. Let me say 250. Not 350. Let me just use it 250, so it will not be much. 250 pixels. Okay, you can see the effect now. It's coming down and then it will go back to default. You can see that you see the effect. Let me refresh. You can see it's coming down. I think this one shows sort of animation, the way animation does. Okay, I think that, having said that, let me just reduce this thing to if I want it to go by the side, it's also possible. You can just add the other properties to it. I think so. So next I want to do now, let me just make this and instead of going down, let it just move by the side. Let's just show forth animation. Then we'll create this from tool. Okay, I'll use percentage. These are the things you can use inside this keyframe. So I'm supposed to put this curve brace, then I'll open it again. I'm just pushing it down and put it here. Okay, so inside this our keyframe, let me use percentage. Let me say 0%. Where is that percentage? 0%. Then open a decoration block. Inside, let's give it a background color. Okay, let's say background color. Let me give it let me just give it a new random color. Let me just say red. Okay, then inside this place, the reason why this thing is doing this because this is on live server, so anything, any changes I'm making here will be reflecting here direct. Okay, so let me say top here, top. Let me say let me give you something like say 300 pixels. Okay, then you can see once we are doing it, you will see the effect. Okay, then finally let me just do left. Here is left already. Let me just do it left. um Left, let me give it let me say 40 pixels. Let me say 40 pixels. Okay. Now, what I will now do, I will copy this thing. I will duplicate this in up to 4 places. Okay, from 0% to 100%. Then I'll change some values inside with some properties and some values, because that's what I'll be changing. Okay, so I'll say shift at down arrow key. We need this 25%, 50%, 75, and 100. Okay, having done this now, let me change some few things inside. This HTML should go one side. I don't need you here. Okay, then inside this one, I'll give it, instead of 0, I'll give it 25 percentage. Then inside this color, I'll give it let me give it let me say purple. I've not used purple here before. Let me say, let me give it a purple color. Okay, then which other thing? Let me change this thing to, let me change this one to 0 top. Then let me give this one let me say 200 200 pixels. If you are doing yours, you can see the effect is manifesting there. Let me give this one 50%. Okay, inside this place, let me give it a value of let me say, we have not used yellow here. Let me say yellow. We ignore the border. Okay, some places. Okay, we ignore the border in this percentage. So let me add another thing. Let me say here, let me give it let me do right. This side is right. How about, let me say something like inside this place, let me say bottom, let me say bottom right, or bottom, is there anything like that? Something like bottom bottom right or bottom left. I don't really think so, but let me type it first. Don't think, let me just let me just do it this way. Let me say let me give it right. Let me say right. Let me give it say something like how about doing this thing now? So let me say something like let me give it 60 pixels. So I want it to do random things, so it will look like real animation. Then here, let me give here say 12 let me say 12 pixels. 12 pixels. Okay. How about this place now? Let me change this color now to, we have not used green. Let's say green. Let me use green. Okay, inside this one, let me change this let me change this top to button. Button, change it to button. Then button, let me give this one right. We already have right, but let me just give it that right. Right, inside this right, let me give it a value of, let me say 500 pixels. Okay, then this one, let me give this one to, let me say 0. Okay, down let me change it to, let me change it 75%. Okay, this thing is a sort of a sequence, the sequence at which it will be achieved. Okay, then this down here now, let me give this one this is the 100%, the final thing that will happen. Let me give it let's say, let me say 150 pixel, oh, not 300, say probably 150 pixel top. Then the left, let me give it should I really use something like border stuff, not border padding does not make sense here. Let me say something like margin button, or margin, is it really necessary now? I really don't know whether this thing will, but let me just put it anyway. Let me say margin 400, to be too much, let me give it let me say about 70 pixel. Is it any much effect? Okay, let me reduce, let me make it 70 pixel. Okay, let me just, if I do 700 pixel, what happens to it? Okay, okay, Let me change this. Let me alter this bottom one to this one that is for right left. Let me make this one 30 pixels. Then there's this one that I'm seeing here. This one that is right, it is disappearing. It's quite sorry about. Where's that right? 60 pixels. Let me leave this at 0. So it will, I don't think let it not disappear. Or we still do it's still disappearing. Why? I still have right. It's going inside the. It's still moving inside the right. Oh, okay. The left is pushing it. This left pixel. This one is the one pushing it. I think so. Let me make it let's say 40 pixel. Then this one is still doing that. No problem. It's still part of. It's still fun for. It's still fun. Top. Let me give the top. Let's say let me give it. Let me say 500 pixel. Just giving it, and so you can see the effect. Okay, perfect. And then this top now. This one. Let me give it. Let me make here a button. Say button. Let me give this one a bottom of. Let me say so it will come down. Let me also give them say 450 pixels. This thing enters where it does not it is not supposed to. This colon supposed to be before this one. It is inside this place. Okay. So you can see now. You can see how the animation, the effect of the animation. Let me widen my screen. You can see the effect of the animation. You can see what it's doing. Let me refresh the page. You can see the effect. This animation. You can see how the animation does. Okay. Okay. Let me make it so that everything will be within this screen, so it will not be going off the screen. Let me do it this way. Let me give it 0 pixel. And let me make this one 0 as well. Or let me just make it 2 pixel, not 20 but 2. Then let me make this one, let me say this one 300. Then this one, let me make this to 300. Then let me do this one this 50%. Let me give this. Oh, I messed up here. Why did I put this? Oh my. Let me make, and this 50%, let me make it set 300. Let me set 300 pixels. Coming down now in the 75. This 75 now, let me make this bottom one right, so it will not be disappearing as such. Okay, then this place that I put bottom, let me change it to top. Okay, let me change it to top. And this top now, let me make it not tom but top. Okay. Okay, let me make this 75%. Let me leave it at 300. Then the 100%, let me just leave it at 00 and see, or let me just say 1%, 1%. 1 pixel, not percentage, please. 1 pixel. Okay, you can see the effect now. You can see what it's doing. Okay, now let me also another thing I can do. You can also add a sort of what's it called? Infinite how do I put it now? A sort of infinite. It will keep on learning. Okay, it will keep on learning and learning and learning. It will not stop. Okay, let me do that. So to do that, you put it inside the div, and it's called what is it called? It's called, I try to remember now. I think animation iteration. Let me type it first. um animation iteration. If I see it, oh yeah, iteration count. Look at it here. This is what I'm talking about. So inside that, I will give it infinite. It will keep on learning without stopping. To keep on doing this without stopping. It will not go back to position. It keep on learning. It will never go back to that its normal position. Keep on doing this thing. Then what if I increase the speed? Let me just reduce the speed so it will not be slow, so it will be a little bit fast. You can see what it's doing. You can see how the animation is learning. Let me make it 2 seconds. You can see, let me widen, let me use full screen. You can see the effect. You can see it. You can see that. You can see the effect. Okay. So there's the effect of the animation. So having said that, I think we're calling it a day in this video. This is a CSS3 animation, how to do CSS3 animation. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.